Before we continue, I want to warn my viewers that we'll be watching a true crime documentary called Yeardley's Ex-Boyfriend by JCS Psychology. These videos contain graphic content and discussion about violence and murder. If you believe this content will be traumatizing or triggering, consider closing the stream now and returning in about an hour. You know, gifted sub is on your rewards twice. Oh, really? Oops. Well, that's okay. It's for the same price.
All right. Did you say you did want water, didn't you?
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, grab me some water real quick. I need to get some stuff over here.
Boom.
That's my card. I know I introduced myself to you at your house, but my name is Lisa Reeves, okay? And I am a detective here at the Charlottesville Police Department.
Okay.
So before I can, I want to
Mash Marcel, thank you for gifting us up. Thank you.
Okay? And that way I can explain to you what's going on and all that good stuff. Do you understand? You understand that? Okay. Today's date is May the 3rd, 2010. The current time is, all right, your first name is George.
Yes.
G-E-O-R.
I didn't. There's no way I didn't do it. No way. Why did you guys come in and say you were searching for an assault?
I never said anything about an assault.
Someone came in this
I
morning.
never mentioned to you anything. Just told you we're investigating something. Wanted to know if you
Investigating
know.
this.
Do you want me to call anybody for you, George?
It's an interesting concept to think of how you might respond to what would normally be an easy question, especially during a circumstance where it becomes a terrifying dilemma. We ask that you contemplate this question while you put yourself in George's position, but not before you grasp the context of what brought him to this moment. It begins with 22-year-old sports scholar Yardley Love, a star lacrosse player at the University of Virginia. She is captured in this photograph playing in the second-to-last game of the season, clearly aware of the obstacles that lie in front of her, yet continuing to move forward, which is the circumstantial detail that turned this picture into a symbol for the globally recognized organization that would be founded in her memory. This would be the last photograph taken that day, capturing Yardley's last embrace with her head coach Julie Myers. Both were unaware this exact moment would soon be on the national front pages. On May 3, 2010, at roughly 2:15 a.m., Yardley's roommate returned from a night out to their off-campus apartment. Upon entering, she saw that Yardley's bedroom had been broken into, at which point she rushed inside to find her unresponsive on the mattress. She had blood coming out of her nose and severe bruising across the right side of her face. But the most alarming thing was that she wasn't waking up. Her friend called 911, who instantly guided her through the steps of CPR, which was then taken over by paramedics who arrived on the scene 4 minutes later. But their attempts at revival were unsuccessful, and Yardley was pronounced dead at exactly 2:47 a.m. At 2:53 that same morning, criminal investigator Lisa Reeves woke up to a phone call from the sheriff's office. By 2:59, she had arrived at Yardley's apartment leading the investigation, and by 3:50, confirmed that she had her first person of interest, which was 22-year-old George Yeardley V, Yardley's ex-boyfriend, and the next several hours were spent gathering information before she knocked at his front door. She found out that George was a fifth-generation heir to a very wealthy American family, whose roots lay in lumber dating back to the 1900s. He was educated at Landon Prep, a prestigious all-boys private school in Bethesda, Maryland, with annual tuition fees of up to $50,000. George was the star player of the lacrosse team and became an All-American athlete. This led to a full scholarship at the University of Virginia, where he remained a key player in the starting lineup, and where he would also meet, then spark a romance with fellow lacrosse player Yardley Love. Love. They dated for almost 2 years.
Hughley and Love's relationship was an on-again, off-again one, where they cheated on each other throughout and that tempers flared both ways.
What was going on with these two young people? What may have led someone to do what happened? These are just a completely unbelievable set of facts.
Everybody watched the relationship. People were really troubled by it. They were scared for her. Nobody knew what to do.
Yardley ended the relationship in 2010, just 2 weeks before graduation. 9 days later, she was found dead in her bedroom. And that same morning, George Hughley would hear a knock at his front door. He opened to Detective Lisa Reeves, who was dressed in civilian clothing. She introduced herself as a police officer, but mentioned nothing of the crime. She simply stated that she was conducting an investigation that could benefit from his presence at the sheriff's office. George's response was to lethargically put on his flip-flops, then walk over to the passenger side door of her unmarked police car and let himself in. Somewhat bewildered, Lisa got in and drove them to the police station a few minutes away without talking. It was around then when she noticed bruising on his knuckles and cuts on his forearm, at which point George was no longer a person of interest. He was the prime suspect.
All right. Did you say you did want water, didn't you? I know I introduced myself to you at your house, but my name is Lisa Reeves. Today's date is May the 3rd, 2010. The current time is, I can't tell on that one, 7:52, okay?
My drama papers too.
What's that?
My drama's papers still right now.
All right, your first name is George.
What a psychopath.
Right away, you'll come to notice that George is oblivious to the gravity of his situation, and it would be very safe to assume that he at this moment is unaware that Yardley has died. He seems to believe that he's in as much trouble as he would be sitting in a principal's office, perhaps for getting in a fight at class or on the lacrosse field, and the sooner he provides a sanitized version of the truth, the sooner he'll get to go home. This, of course, ties in perfectly with the interrogator's opening strategy, which we've labeled warmth for the sake of this video. She will downplay the severity of his situation to a considerable degree, while maintaining a friendly temperament with a sympathetic undertone. She needs the suspect to feel safe and secure for the time being, as the less cautious he is, the more information he's likely to give away. Then as soon as he locks himself into one particular storyline, the pressure can commence, which often leads to a suspect being laden with panic and contradictions.
Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before questioning and have one present during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be provided for you. And if you're willing to talk to us now, you have the right to stop talking anytime.
George has two options here. Option 1 is to remain silent, then allow his father to get him the most expensive attorneys in the country. He would then have years to examine the evidence, evaluate the many options available, and then construct the most self-preserving storyline with world-renowned experts in criminal defense before they present it to a jury. Unfortunately for George, he takes option 2. But before he does, rewatch the flawlessly reassuring manner in which he's given the final piece of the Miranda warning.
And if you're willing to talk to us now, you have the right to stop talking anytime. Got it?
Yep.
Awesome. Just need your signature there that you understand your rights and are willing to talk to us. And the time now is 7:53. All right. Let's kind of start. I'm going to kind of ask you some questions, and like I said, we'll explain things a little bit later. Tell me about your day yesterday.
Played golf with our parents. It was a father-son. Good event. I went to dinner with my dad and my two buddies, and then went home, went to the bar for like a little while. Then I went over to talk to Yardley, and
Who's Yardley?
Yardley is my former girlfriend,
Okay.
which this whole thing's about, which I understand, but
George
She
has
didn't
now
say
initiated the
that.
investigative subject matter himself.
Right?
It's the perfect opening scenario for the interrogator because she's given nothing away, making it more likely for him to reveal details that will contradict the evidence.
when I went over to talk to Yardley, I was like, Yardley, and she was like already totally freaked out because of what she did this past a few days ago, and we haven't talked since, and I was just gonna go talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yardley slept with another lacrosse player from North Carolina the week before, which is what he just referred to.
And she was already like, oh, like freaking out. Like, you know, you can't come in, you can't come in. And I was like, I'm like just trying to talk to you.
The investigation team obviously had no way of knowing this, and George has now confessed to the crime of second-degree trespass. More importantly, however, he's just confessed to initiating the supposed confrontation. He now can't say that he was somehow tricked or misled into that situation. He knowingly stepped into it, and the critical fact he can actually recognize and remember this will be used against him repeatedly in the future.
And like, she like started being like getting like all like, you know, like really like defensive. She was already like on the defensive edge, and like I was like, listen, I'm not here to like, I'm just here to talk to you. And she like got all like sat up, like her bed's against the wall, like if it was in this corner, she was like up against the wall, and I was like we were sitting there talking, and like she started being like you know, like getting like all like aggressive after this. And so I was like, all right, like chill out, like, and shook her a little bit.
So just to recount what George said over the last 47 seconds, Yardley was defensive. While being in a defensive state, she backed up against the wall. She then became aggressive. George's response to this supposed aggression was to initiate physical contact.
And she started being like freaking out, and I was like, listen, I'm not like here to do anything, I'm here to talk to you about everything that's ensued in the past week. And she was like, and like started like being like, no, like hitting her head, like stop, like she was in the corner, I was sitting on the bed, I was like, stop, like, I was like, Yardley, like, what the hell, like, we were just gonna talk.
So let's go back half a minute and dissect what actually just happened there.
And so I was like, all right, like, chill out, like, and shook her a little bit.
He will now say the words, and she started being like, then simultaneously mimic a body colliding with the wall. He will then stop himself mid-thought and subtly modify the detail.
And she started being like freaking out, and I was like, listen. And she started being like freaking out.
He goes from illustrating Yardley hitting the wall to, as he states, freaking out. He seems to realize mid-sentence this isn't the best way to explain her injuries, so he changes the detail to buy himself time.
And she started being like freaking out, and I was like, listen, I'm not like here to do anything, I'm here to talk to you.
He carefully shifts the topic from Yardley to himself and keeps it there for 8 seconds before attempting to re-explain what occurred in a more self-preserving manner.
And she was like, and like started like being like, no, like hitting her head, like.
No jury on the planet will believe that Yardley was voluntarily slamming her head against the wall with enough force to cause fatal brain damage. All George has done here is give away the fact that he knows Yardley has sustained some type of head injury, and now lied on record about how it was inflicted.
I was like, Yardley, like, what the hell, like, we were just gonna talk, and like, it was not at all like a good conversation, because that's like, she was already like freaking out with
I wonder why.
Just even seeing me there.
Yeah, wait, okay. Like, no one just randomly freaks out. Just seeing someone, they freak out for a reason.
Against the wall when she was sitting on the bed, and I grabbed her and I like shook her. I was like, stop, like, we need to, like, and looked at her. I was like, we need to like talk about this. And like, I mean, I was on holding her arms and stuff, but like, I never struck her. I never like hit her like in the face or anything. I was just like, we need to talk. And she was so like, oh, I mean, what's the word? Like, you know, like flopping a fish out of the water, like so like all this. And I was like, listen, like, I'm not here to like fight with you or like do anything, like here to talk to you. And like, and she was like, no, like, get away from me. You have to leave.
What do you mean I need to listen to my own disclaimer?
Like all this stuff. And I was like, all right, like fine, like, but like I want to talk to you after all this. And like I was like a little bit persistent because of the situation, you know, my former girlfriend who something happened last week, you know, and I was like, all right, like, well, so we were like talking over there, and I mean, somehow I was resting her on the floor.
That's not what trauma is. I'm just disturbed. Am I supposed to watch this and be like, oh my God, yes, murder. No, I'm disturbed. And everyone should be disturbed because it's disturbing content. How am I supposed to react?
I was just saying,
Come on,
stop.
bruh.
I just, like,
What do you mean?
and I was holding her.
I was holding her. I
What
was
do
a
you
little bit
mean?
persistent. I was wrestling her on the floor. All further evidence that designates George as the aggressor. He's completely shut down his ability to argue any sort of self-defense claim.
And then the conversation, I could tell, was just like, it was not going anywhere and nothing was happening. And she like went back to bed.
Just
and
watch the
I
video.
left. And I went back home.
Phase 1 is now complete. The suspect has unknowingly locked himself into a storyline that will put him away for a very long time. The risk of him shutting down or requesting a lawyer is no longer a primary concern. So the interrogator will now increase the pressure. She will confront him on certain elements that she pretended to overlook before, and the ideal scenario is to cause just enough panic so that he backpedals on previous statements and contradicts himself.
All right, so you go over there, knock on the door.
Her front door was open. Her room door was closed. I knocked like Yardley, like she heard me open the door and went in.
All right, went in where?
To her room.
All right, straight to her bedroom.
Straight to her bedroom, yeah. I mean,
How'd you get through the door?
her door or the front door?
Her door.
Actually, it might have been locked.
It was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Just be honest with me.
Yeah,
How'd you
no,
get in
yeah,
the
it
door?
was actually locked. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think I put a hole.
Yeah. You punched a hole through the door.
Pretty sure actually now. Yeah, that
Okay.
you said that. Yeah.
All right.
Pretty sure.
Why'd you do that? She didn't
Well,
want to talk to
I
you? What was
guess
she doing?
yeah. Once I was in her room, she was like very like like Marley, I'm not like I don't want to talk to you like all this stuff, and she was very like very on.
Because you
edge,
punched a hole through a wall and you probably
like, I don't wanna
abuse
talk, I
her.
don't want to talk I was like, listen, like what you pulled last week was outrageous. Like I just want to talk to you.
Why'd you punch the door then?
A very unusual time to interrupt a suspect in such a contentious manner. He was giving away self-incriminating information that could be used to establish a motive. He was doing exactly what the lead investigator wanted. But Detective Ed has now stopped him in his tracks. It's a reckless maneuver at this point in the interrogation, which Detective Reeves is no doubt conveying at this moment through nonverbal communication. She now has to let the suspect respond as to not undermine their position.
Because I want to talk to her.
Detective Reeves will now bring his guard back down through a reassuring tone and gently guide his train of thought back to his grievances with the victim. She pulls this off in 3 questions.
All right, well, continue on. That's fine. Continue on. So you're talking to her and she doesn't want to talk to you?
Not really. I mean, we talked though. Like there was parts where we were talking, and then like.
Do you know what you're talking about?
I mean, about so many different things.
Okay. Like what?
Like what she did last week.
Mm-hmm.
Like went to like Carolina. She went to Carolina and hooked up with someone Sunday when we were still trying to figure out things. And I was over there like to talk. Like I was like, this is outrageous, because I was trying to make everything better, and then like, she was very defensive because she knew like how upset I was, because I've told her like through emails like how upset I was like about what she did. And so I was like, and I sat on the edge of her bed, I was like, listen, like I want to talk to you, like what you did was bullshit, like that's not like okay. And I was just like and she's like not like she's like sort of pushing everything that she did to the back burner, and like talking about like trying to like put everything that she did like wasn't important. It kept going to the point where she like I was like, listen, like we have to figure like out what's going on. And she was like, I'm not talking to you. And then she like pushed me, like, get out of here, like go. And I was like, no. And like I was like, be like, we have to talk, like, so like get like.
When you're doing that, what are you holding on her?
On her arms.
On her arms, like maybe up here.
Like shoulders, yeah.
Shoulders.
Like come on, like, you know, and that's when she would like wiggle and like get away and like, you know, like hide in the, get in the corner.
Yeah,
really,
he's the
like,
prime suspect at this point.
like defensively almost. And then she ended, I think she was back in bed and I left. I was like, this is not going anywhere.
How did she get back in bed?
We were like wrestling and we stood up and I tossed her, I pushed her onto the bed. I was like, go to bed, like, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah,
Did you touch her neck area at all? Did you choke her at one point?
I may have grabbed her a little bit by the neck when we were like...
No, you said you choked her
like,
earlier.
Strangled her.
Okay.
But I mean, during the whole like commotion, you know, like I might have grabbed her neck, but I never was like strangling her.
Okay.
More detail that was unknown to the investigation. The fact that he grabbed her neck can now be used as evidence. It paints a more frightening picture of the incident with relation to the suspect's aggression toward the victim. This was an extremely damaging revelation for George's defense. The discussion moves to the moment he left, and George admits that he took Yardley's laptop.
Why'd you grab her laptop?
Because I was so pissed that she wouldn't talk to me. I was like...
No, he said choke.
I like took it almost as like collateral, I guess. I don't know. It's not reasonable logic, but...
Right. Okay.
I don't know.
Did you take anything else besides the laptop?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay.
I mean...
All right. So when you left out of there, I mean, you saw that she was bleeding on her nose.
She's now about to ask a question with the same implication for a second time. Notice what occurred the first time.
Did you go back and check on her at any point?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you try to call rescue or anything to make sure she was all right?
No, I did not.
No. Why?
The face of bewilderment, if there ever was one. It's very strange that he's so taken aback by such a question, especially when you take into account the possible outcome if he had actually called for help.
One medical expert revealed in the courtroom for the very first time that following Yardley Love's brutal beating, had George Hughley or anyone else called for help, she might have survived.
I didn't think it was like...
Scum of the earth.
I didn't think that she was like in need of like going to the emergency room.
TM Titan, look at the 2 months. Welcome back. Thank you.
Did you say when you were, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you were shaking her head was hitting the wall?
Well, that was in the beginning. That was initially when I walked in. Like she was like up in the corner, like saying, get out of here, like, you know, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
At any time when you were shaking her, did her head bang the wall?
Put yourself in George's position and imagine Yardley had in fact self-inflicted her injuries. You would perhaps say something along the lines of, absolutely not.
I wasn't hitting her against the wall, but like when she's like sitting there in the corner of like, if it were like this, and I'm like, Yardley, like, you know, and I was like what the fuck was that about? Like that's such bullshit that you like do that. Like that's such a like bullshit move. Like would like, you know, like ever like hitting her, like what are you like doing like that? Like
Okay. She has a pretty good knot on her head. That's why I'm asking how you can explain how that would have happened.
I mean, I don't even know when a knot. I mean,
like on the side of her head, she's been hit pretty good right there. So I'm just trying to figure out, did you hit her with something?
No.
Was that
no,
her head into the wall?
never touched her or struck her or anything.
Well, you touched her. You had your hands on her.
I said never struck her.
Okay. So I'm gonna go through this one more time, make sure we're on the same page. So you're pretty pissed at her from a week ago for sending you text messages. Do you have those text messages where she says she, as you put it, fucked somebody?
I actually might have those, yeah.
All right, you got your phone with you?
Yeah.
And let's pull it out and scroll through it. Let's see if we can see those.
The next moment is fascinating because it symbolizes how drastically George's life is about to change. The interrogator will invade his personal space to make sure he's not deleting anything from his phone. Soon after that, she will take the phone out of his hand and place it on the table. Actions that would be completely unacceptable in almost any other circumstance.
We didn't say.
They were like, I guess what you call like an ongoing conversation, an ongoing like instant message, and it's gone.
Okay. I'll use that one then. We'll leave that right here for right now. All right. Let's talk about how you entered. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because to put your fist through the door.
no,
she
it's
had
actually
to
my
been
leg.
telling.
I'm pretty
Is
sure
your leg?
because that's why my leg's like this.
Oh my God, who gives a fuck
You're right.
either way?
Yeah,
How'd
You
get all
don't
the
do
bruises on your leg?
that.
this is all from lacrosse.
Liar.
That's pretty fresh right there. Looks.
This is all from my lacrosse game on Saturday.
On
I mean, I wear
Saturday.
my arm. You can see where my arm pads are.
Mm-hmm.
Right here, and my gloves right here, and that's
Even right there, I thought you wore those padded gloves.
This is
Lacrosse.
all. This is all the difference. This is all from lacrosse.
Okay.
And that's I got whacked here. I remember, 100% got whacked during the game when I was trying to kill the clock.
Mm-hmm. When you had her and you're shaking her, did she scratch you anywhere?
No,
No.
no.
She's a little girl. She's tiny.
Yeah, she did not. No, she didn't. She didn't
She didn't
scratch
try
me.
to hit you or anything like that.
No.
Okay. So you kick in the door.
Yeah,
Go in.
that's how I got. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I stuck my hand through and unlocked it, and went in there, and
Okay.
everything else is told you.
The detectives leave the room for roughly 3 minutes. When they return, it appears Ed is given the chance to lead with a few of his own questions.
I know we touched about what
Redemption.
what happened last night.
Ed, redeem yourself.
Set it up for me. Lead it up to me a little bit here. Why did you guys break up exactly? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, we are not from the same area.
Right.
And she wants to move to New York, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing yet, but I'd like to move to San Francisco.
Why'd you take her computer?
I don't know.
Took her
I have no
computer?
idea.
There's maybe because there's evidence on the computer, emails that you sent.
No, there's no. I mean, you can read all the emails and everything back and forth.
Detective Ed now asks George if he held Yardley down on the bed. He's trying to subtly set the grounds for an argument of smothering, which isn't a terrible idea, but would be disproven by the autopsy regardless.
No.
Did you fall down on top of her? Rest on
We
the
were
ground?
wrestling on the ground for like a little
Did
bit.
y'all wrestle on the bed at all?
No, I never I shook her.
No, I mean just kind of hold her down until she calmed down on the bed.
No, if anything that. If anything that would have been like on the floor when we were on the floor when her nose started bleeding. We were like wrestling around, and that's when her nose started bleeding.
Was it pretty noisy when y'all were wrestling around?
No, I mean.
Was she screaming?
No, she was not screaming, actually.
I mean, if I'm cracking my head in the wall, I'm gonna be saying, "Ow!"
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, she was not screaming.
Yeah.
She should have been, probably. I mean, maybe.
She should have
She
been.
should have been, probably. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
What do you think she should have
I don't know. I mean, well, she was screaming when I first came into the room. She was like, "No, I'm not talking to you. Get the fuck out of here," all that. But
At any point before you said you and this was your words, you said you tossed her on the bed and then you left.
yeah,
All right. At any point before that, did she lose consciousness?
no.
Okay. What happened after you tossed her on the bed? Did she move? Say something?
I mean, I literally tossed her on the bed and turned around and
Tossed her on the ground or tossed her
on the bed and
Tossed her on the
walked
bed.
out the door.
Okay. So when you tossed her back on the bed, in your mind, she was bleeding, but you said she was bleeding out her nose, and you didn't feel like you needed to call rescue
No,
after that, after banging her head and
no,
shaking her and blood coming out her nose on the floor.
No. There's nothing about
You missed anything that we want to ask him right now?
There's nothing about going to get anything or going. I don't know why I took the computer.
George rambles about why there was no reason for taking the laptop for another 20 seconds, during which time Detective Reeves decides that enough information has been attained. Phase 2 is now complete, and the fate of Yardley is about to be revealed. These moments in interrogations are considered important for the purpose of gauging a suspect's response. It's believed that a sharp and sudden revelation can make it difficult to fabricate emotion. So in theory, this will cause a suspect to provide either a genuine response or a relatively obvious disingenuous response, which often comes in the pretense of shock or remorse.
I mean, I guess that's where my logic was at, but that, which is...
Well, I have to tell you
I
something.
think I know why you took the computer.
In the midst of what would have been a flawlessly executed moment, Detective Ed jumps back into the laptop mystery. The suspect has essentially confessed to murder. This really wasn't the time for regurgitated conjecture over a petty theft misdemeanor, which Ed was clearly being advised of once again through nonverbal communication.
She's pissed.
Why do you think?
You all right?
Go ahead.
No?
Yeah.
She's dead. You killed her, George. You killed her.
She's dead?
I think you knew that already.
No, I did not.
In our opinion, George is being truthful here, and we believe the interrogator feels the same way in this moment.
She's dead? How the fuck is she dead?
Because you killed her, George.
How the fuck is she dead?
Because you killed her.
George appears to be going through a delayed response. It's so foreign a revelation that it's yet to sink in. Once the shock settles, he refuses to accept it, and this denial appears to be a momentary coping mechanism before the reality of the situation truly hits him, which will happen at this time in the footage.
Oh my god. She's dead?
Yes.
She's dead.
Yes.
She's dead.
She's dead.
How? How?
I already told you how. You already told us how as well.
How is she dead?
You just told us.
Oh my god.
You did tell him. That's a really good response.
You went in there to talk with her, but it got out of control, right, George?
The detectives will now add further pressure to keep him talking. Suspects will often divulge information in these moments in the panicked attempt to save themselves, and in doing so can shut down a more credible storyline they haven't thought up yet.
The alcohol got a hold of you. You kicked in her door. She started to fight with you. You punched her in the head, or you cracked.
She's not dead.
You cracked
She's
her
not
head.
dead.
You
She's
cracked her
not
head in the
dead.
window or in the wall.
not dead.
She is.
She's not dead.
I ain't BSing you right now. It's serious.
I want to see her. She's
George,
not
look at
dead.
me.
George.
She is dead.
You were not here to dance with us. You're here because she's dead. The alcohol.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
It's true.
Dude, I didn't. I don't believe that she's dead.
How did you?
I don't believe that she's dead.
How
I
is she-
don't believe that she's
Did
dead.
you punch her? Did you hit her?
How?
with-
She's,
in the
there's
wall?
no way she's dead. She's not dead. I didn't. I never did anything. I did not.
All right, let's calm down.
I did not like hurt her. Like she's not dead.
Let him calm down.
Just out of protocol, what we gotta do is stand up for me, George. Go ahead, put your hands behind your back. Turn around.
Relax. It's all right.
Relax. You'll be alright.
Tell me she's not dead. Tell me she's not dead, though. Please. Will you tell me she's not dead?
Relax.
Please. Will you tell me?
You
she's
know what?
not
I wish
dead?
I could tell you that, George. 22-year-old. 22. And her life is done.
She's not. I did not do anything like that. Oh my god. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. I do not believe it. I do not believe it. There's no way. There's no way she could be dead.
Either the head trauma or asphyxiation.
There was no asphyxiation.
Okay.
So there's head trauma.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
What was she doing? What was she doing the last time you saw her?
She was like standing up with me. She was standing up with me. She was standing up with me, looking at me.
Was she standing or you were
She
holding
was
her?
standing up, looking at me.
Okay.
She's not dead. I know she's not dead. I know 100 million % she's not dead. I did. She cannot be dead.
I know it got out of hand, George.
No, it didn't. And she's like, no, like, get away from me. You have to leave, you have to leave. I was like a little bit persistent. I
Was she
mean,
screaming?
she should have been. I didn't kill her and leave. I didn't just, oh my god. I didn't kill her. I did not kill her. I did not kill her.
That's a good
I
question.
did not. There's no way.
Is he crying because...
way.
I think he's crying
No way.
because he realizes he's in big old trouble. But the other reason is he actually
I don't believe this.
misses her, feels bad for her. But I'm pretty sure it's because he realizes he's fucked up. Yeah.
No way. There's no.
I doubt it's the other reason.
So should I talk to someone?
Who do you want to talk to?
Anyone.
But I do believe that
One will get appointed to you.
Okay, what do I do
he
now?
didn't think his actions would kill her.
All right, George, right now, I know you no one want to talk to us, that's fine, just let you know something. We're working on a search warrant right now, and what it is we're going to have to collect some stuff from
I still
you,
think
like what's called a buckle
he's a
swab.
murderer.
Okay.
I still think he had the intention of hurting her. Well, he did hurt her, but, you know, with the intentions of physically hurting her.
Why did you guys come in and say you were searching for an assault?
I never said anything about an assault.
Someone came in.
Like, I'm pretty sure he's done this before to her.
Investigating someone.
Investigating.
Do you want me to call anybody?
Should have asked for the lawyer an hour ago. Actually, no. Like, yes, but, like, I'm glad he didn't ask for a lawyer. Like, I don't think you want to say he should have. Like, whose side are you on? No. I'm glad he fucking didn't.
At the start of this video,
Good.
you were asked to think of what you would do in this
Don't.
situation. Really try and imagine what would be going through your mind in this moment, as you might just gain a
Yeah.
restorative outlook from both knowing the answer while not having to answer this particular question. But there is, of course, no possible way you will gain anything close to the newfound perspective George has acquired in this moment, which unfortunately for him is no longer of use.
Want me to call your dad?
We call it Mom.
Your mom? Is that who you'd like me to call?
Can I talk to her?
Mm-hmm.
Can I talk to her?
I don't know about that. What's your mom's name? What's her number?
301 96.
Okay.
How?
Did you want me to call your dad? Or just her?
She will tell her.
Hmm?
She can tell her everything.
Okay.
How? I don't believe it. There's no way she's gonna be dead. There's no way.
Calm down.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no.
George, go ahead, put your foot down.
Oh my God.
Yep.
These next few moments are a turning point. The leg irons seem to initiate a shift in his constitution, and his denial will completely cease from this point forward. He will continue to ask why and how, but he will no longer reject the severity of what is happening.
Oh my God. Huh.
Heck of a day, bud.
I ain't here the rest of my life.
I'm sorry?
So am I in here the rest of my life?
In this room?
No, in jail.
I don't know.
Not a bad guy.
Well, that
man.
proves
You were, bud.
why he's crying. Now we know the answer.
Call
Why he
mom.
is.
I'm sorry?
Call my mom.
No, I know. Yeah, you do want to talk to her. Now's when you need your family the most, bud. You know?
Dude. Didn't even.
George was taken to the regional jail soon after this moment. He would go on to plead not guilty to murder and was held without bond for almost 2 years awaiting trial. It began on February 6, 2012.
Well, testimony is now underway in the murder trial of the former UVA lacrosse player accused of killing his ex-girlfriend.
Guilty?
For the first time, we have video of Yeardley as he was led into the courtroom.
Contrary to his appearance in the days that followed his arrest for the murder of 22-year-old Yardley Love, he appeared pale, frail, and gaunt.
The prosecution presented a case that Yeardley went to Love's apartment that night, busted through her bedroom door, and in some way struck her, causing blunt force trauma which led to her death.
We've also learned that on that night, George Yeardley was exchanging what were described as playful text messages with 3 other women. Those messages continued late into the night and even after the alleged attack.
Throughout this trial, Yeardley has sat expressionless, almost stoic at the defense table. All of that changed today as this police interview was airing. Yeardley began crying, was often pinching the bridge of his nose with his hands and looking down as he listened to the sound of his own hysterical voice. I did not kill her. I did not kill her. I did not.
In court Tuesday, Yeardley's defense faced an uphill climb.
The most riveting testimony came from former UNC lacrosse player Michael Burns, who testified that one time while visiting UVA, he heard some yelling for help from Yeardley's apartment. When he opened the door, he said he found Yeardley with his arm wrapped around Love's neck, choking her. Yeardley then let her go, and she ran out of the room crying.
A variety of medical experts took the stand this Wednesday, and they all seem to agree
Ben
that
Kai,
Love's
they're in the
death
tier
was the
3 and the
result of
47
blunt force
months.
trauma
Thank
to the
you.
head. This was followed by highly distressing witness testimony from Yardley's neighbors.
The noise was so loud, this was such a violent death that they heard it downstairs, 2 separate witnesses, and it sounded like a stereo crashing to the ground.
And it certainly didn't help that the jury knew that she was alive for 2 hours before she died, indicating that if George Yeardley had come to his senses, he could have gone back there, called 911, and possibly saved her life.
Still, the driving argument for the defense is that George Yeardley never intended to kill. They say this was all a tragic accident, that he does not deserve a life sentence, but instead a lesser charge and a second chance.
Guilty of second-degree murder, and you will hear the sentence momentarily.
A 26-year prison term came down.
George Yeardley was brought to court to hear his lawyers plead for the judge to cut in half the 26-year sentence recommended by the jury. Judge Edward Hogshire did trim it back, but by just 3 years.
The jury in this case recommended 26 years. The judge changed it to 23, probably a small difference, but why would he do that?
It's surprising, isn't it, considering this is a woman who was beaten to death in her own bed.
We think that George was convicted of a crime inconsistent with the facts, and he received a penalty inconsistent with what the evidence would require.
There are no winners in this case.
With credit for the time that George Yeardley has already served in jail, and if he gets time off for good behavior, he could be out in 18 years. And the family for Yardley Love has put out this statement saying, "We find no joy in other sorrow. We are relieved to put this chapter behind us."
As for George, he was incarcerated at the maximum security Augusta Correctional Center for 10 years, and has since been transferred to a prison work camp in Richmond, where he's expected to serve out the rest of his sentence. The present consensus in the media is that George had no intention of killing Yardley, but that his 23-year sentence is still appropriate, if not lenient, and that him being drunk to any degree at the time of the murder is not an excuse, nor does it lessen the culpability of his actions to any extent.
Drunk is not an excuse for
He'll be released
anything.
at the age of 45, meaning he will have the second chance at life Yardley was never afforded. You can decide for yourself whether he deserves it or not.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't.
A comforting prospect to this tragedy is the nonprofit organization that arose from it. The One Love Foundation carries extremely important messages, both on social psychology and preventative education. Their website will be linked in the description of this video.
I don't know why you said execute. No one said execute. You're a weird champ. You're a weird champ. I definitely don't think 10 years versus she has 0 years. Think about that. 0. She has no more. I just cannot. I don't know. I like cannot stomach when people like are, maybe I lack empathy. I cannot empathize with him. I cannot. She's gone forever. Forever. And he's always been abusive towards her. It's just, I cannot believe. Like, if you are empathetic towards it, good for you. But also, I can't. Like, that's fucking weird to me. And I have to pee. Bear back. He didn't admit to the killing, and no evidence proved that he meant to kill her. Guys, the point, like, he still went there to intent to hurt her, right? He was definitely there to hurt her, not to just talk. If like, there's no shot you said that. Oh, like, you think anyone can just go, like, I don't know, it just is. The bro literally broke the door down when she said, like, don't come in. I agree, but assault is different than murder. Okay, so if, bro, like, I don't even, okay, let me bluntly put it this way. I break down your door when you tell me not to. I come in, shake you, smack your head a bunch on the wall because I'm really pissed at you, and I get away with it because I was just there to be angry at you. But you're dead now, forever. Like, what? How could you? Like, that makes, like, anyone could get away with that. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I don't know. I cannot. Sometimes I have no hope for this world when I read chat, empathizing with this piece of shit. I really don't. It makes me angry. Makes me angry. Well, are we playing any games? Maybe I need to play Apex. Shoot some people in a game. Yeah. It is very frustrating to read. It is so frustrating to read. I cannot. I do need to de-stress. Honestly, I feel like reading my chat, like, upset me even more than that sad ass video. That video is so fucking sad. Like, She's 22 and she died because some fucking asshole ex-boyfriend went in. And it is just so upsetting to read some of these messages. I'm just so sad to read some of this stuff. That guy is just explaining the justice system. Okay, but I didn't that's the thing. Like, you have to understand when you're explaining how the justice system works, when I clearly am upset at how it all came out as, it sounds like you're literally I don't, let me take a second to be able to convey how I want to say this. Okay, thank you. Yes. You're being very technical. And yes, you're technically correct. And yes, that is how the justice system is. It's sad that it is. But when you have to mansplain it to me like this, when someone is dead, it comes off very cold and too logical. I feel like I'm not that kind of person. I know there are people out there who are very logical and technical, but I'm not. I definitely she's dead. This 22-year-old is dead. I don't know. I don't know how else to word it better. Just wasn't the right time, or I don't know. It just came off really, I don't know, maybe instead of writing or explaining how the justice system works, you could be like, yeah, fuck this guy, you know? But no, you wanted to write how the justice system works. Okay. All right. And that's why I was triggered. Yeah, it is really, really sad. I can't. She'll never get a second chance. I cannot think of logic. It's just such a sad meaning. It's everything is so sad. So are we gonna stop being sad and play video games? Yeah, let me just, yeah. No. I'm trying, but no. I don't know. What do you mean? I can't. I wish, bro. Honestly, at this point, I wish.